This was LeBron James after the loss to the Pelicans.
Last few years, everybody's so accustomed to the losses that I'm just not accustomed to. I'm not accustomed to it. I would never get comfortable with losing. So, losing game 1 to Houston, it feels the same way as losing game 59 in New Orleans for me. That's just how I'm built. That's who I am.
Okay. I'm not really sure what to make of that. I'm ticked? Is that what he's saying? I'm mad that we lost and everybody else doesn't understand. Like, here's what it seems like to me. The Lakers, and whether it's LeBron or LeBron's people or the Lakers brass or all of them combined, feel like all of us after we've gone and picked out something at IKEA. You ever go to IKEA? IKEA's great, man. You can get like a burger and fries for $1.50. It's like a throwback to when we were kids. You go in there, you're like, man, everything looks awesome. I'll take a sofa, a nightstand, a mattress. You know what? I'll take the whole bedroom set. I've been looking for one of those. Give me one of those Cub chairs. I'm all in. Oh, and I want one of those dressers. That's the dresser exactly that I want. You're like, man, this is way less money than if I go and shop at a legit furniture store where there's such ridiculous markup, it's not funny. All right, like you walk in, you go to Pottery Barn, you flip it over, like, damn! It cost how much? There is no markup in the world like furniture store markup. And furniture store guys sitting there going, I know. My wife and I used to joke because one of the big name furniture stores, when we used to live in Connecticut, had a sign up that literally never came down that said sale going on. Right? It's almost like Kohl's. Like there's a reason that Kohl's can send you flyers where if you buy 3 items, you get like 75% off because there's such ridiculous markup, right? Same thing with furniture stores. But there is something to the value in it already coming assembled, it being ready-made. Because everybody thinks, you look at it, you're like, how hard could it be, right? How hard could you get instructions? I have a college degree. My wife has 2 college degrees. I believe that while the divorce rate continues to be high, there is no greater infidelity is probably number 1, but number 2 in our country in terms of reason for high divorce rate is IKEA. IKEA. Because you start putting together, you see all the parts, you're like, oh, okay. Then you take a breath, and you guys both get coffee. You're like, this is what we're going to do on a Friday night or on a Sunday afternoon. We're going to put the ball game on. We're going to put together this dresser. And you start putting together and wait. They don't have these pieces. They're not here. Honey, what did you do with this, with the doohickey thingamajig? Where are the doohickey? The number 12. Where's the number 12? And you look around and then you start emailing IKEA. You call the IKEA. You didn't put the number. And then she's like, here it is. Here's the number 12. You're like, okay. Now, where's it go? I have no idea. And then at the end, you think you got it all together and then you still have parts. You're like, wait a second. Hold on. We kind of forgot. It looks fine. Fine. Yeah. Well, where did this entire bag of screws come from? Do you need them? It's obvious. Listen, they're Swedish. They kind of overdo it. Whole safety thing. It'll be fine. You put it together. It's like leaning like the Tower of Pisa. It doesn't look right. You hate her. She hates you. You've cut yourself on several things. You have leftover parts and you're left sitting there going, this is way more than I signed up for. I should have just either hired somebody to put together or bought something already put together, which is where LeBron and the Lakers are. You put LeBron on the team and you match a little sprinkle dust and you're in the playoffs. How hard could it be? Right? He made the Eastern Conference Finals 8 consecutive times. Now, it should be pointed out that the brilliance of what happened in Miami was not just that he joined Dwayne Wade, who had already won a championship, but he essentially demolished Cleveland. That was a 61-win team. And they took out the legs from under Toronto, taking their best player. Right? So in addition to building up the Heat, they crushed 2 other playoff teams in the East. And then when they get to Cleveland, it was ready-made. in that they had tanked games to get the number one pick. They traded that for Kevin Love. So you get a perennial all-star, you get a burgeoning superstar in Kyrie Irving, and you get LeBron James, and whoosh, you got your super team. That's not what you have in LA. Right? LA has had these top picks, and the ones that have now hit after they've sent them elsewhere because they were drafted by Mitch Kupchak, and you got an oft-injured Lonzo Ball that's behind the learning curve in terms of getting there. And you have LeBron James, who's older than he was previously. And you have some parts in which it wasn't like the NBA is like, hey, LeBron, oh, you're in LA now? Why don't you just pick the 2 or 3 best shooters that you want for your roster? Like, that's not how it works. So they tried something different, and they're left with a bunch of screws. Like, well, it'll be fine. We'll make the playoffs, and then next year we'll figure it out. And as frustrated as you are when you put together your IKEA furniture, even if eventually you get it right, that's where LeBron is with the Lakers. I still think eventually they'll have a very nice nightstand. Eventually the dresser will be fine. Will it be perfect like it is in the store? Probably not. Eventually it'll work out, but you end up going like, man, we had to fire Luke. We had to get rid of half our players. We had to kind of give in to his idea of culture. It's just not that much fun. You thought walking through IKEA, your living room would look like that living room. It does and it doesn't. And the sweat equity that you put in leaves you with a bitterness towards your wife, and she's bitter towards you. Same thing with LeBron. Even if ultimately they succeed with most of these young players, they're still in the back of their mind, deep-seated, going to be bitterness over, dude, you were going to trade me. You valued me so much that you were ready to jettison me 3 or 4 months into the process where you'd been out because of injury. Like, it's not LeBron James's fault that he got hurt, but it is LeBron James' fault that he got hurt. Right? I mean, who else's fault is it? Well, his body broke down. Okay. Should he have stretched more? Should he have done yoga more? Less moguling. Less moguling, more stretching, more yoga, more Pilates. Well, he was out for 18 games. Yeah. Which you should have planned for if you're the Lakers, because you knew he always misses some games, with the exception of last year, only year in which he's played 82 games. And by the way, that probably wasn't a good idea, right? That's one of those seems like a good idea at the time. Sure, LeBron can play 82 games. And then Cleveland's sitting there going like, yeah, there's a little payback for playing 82 games. It comes the next year. I think the whole thing's fascinating, but putting together IKEA furniture is a lot like putting together a team for LeBron James. Ultimately, I guess it's worth it, but there's a lot of bitter relationships left in its wake.